The race to build artificial intelligence looks like a pure battle of brains, a contest of mathematics, theory, and breakthroughs in neural architecture. Over the 12 months to July 2026, Anthropic made a dozen senior hires. The most famous was John Jumper, who shared the 2024 Nobel Prize in Chemistry for his work on AlphaFold. They also brought on Jelani Nelson, the chair of UC Berkeley's Computer Science Division. Moves like this reinforce the industry assumption that AI progress is bottlenecked by scientific genius. But if you line up these 12 senior hires side by side, the densest cluster of talent isn't in research, it's in capacity. They hired a head of leasing, land and energy, and a director of compute infrastructure procurement, titles expected at a regional utility. When a frontier lab hires like a utility, it shows that ideas have ceased to be the primary constraint. Progress now depends on turning contracted megawatts into research cycles. The capacity stack is the new operational priority. At the frontier, building this stack takes precedence over algorithmic theory. A signed billion-dollar compute contract does not equal instant, productive AI power. It is a promise, not a resource. Between a contract and an experiment sits massive physical friction. Researchers wait for power interconnects, land, deployment, and reliability engineering. Navigating this gap takes quarters. It explains why a unicorn founder chose the compute team over any other role. The bottleneck is purely operational, the ability to activate contracted physical megawatts faster than the competition. This operational focus highlights a structural vulnerability. Anthropic is staffing hardest against the one input they own the least. Their infrastructure is heavily concentrated. They rely on 5 gigawatts from Amazon, 5 gigawatts from Google, and 300 megawatts from an AXAI facility in Memphis. Every gigawatt on that list is rented. They're borrowing the tools of their trade from direct competitors, but there is a constraint that sits above hardware and electricity: institutional permission. On June 12th, the Department of Commerce issued a directive restricting access to Anthropic's flagship models. Fable 5 and Mythos 5 were pulled worldwide for 18 days. A single policy decision made in an afternoon can instantly neutralize billions of dollars of optimized, diversified hardware. Just weeks after that shutdown, Anthropic appointed its first global head of public sector. Capacity is physical, but it is also political. Government distribution runs on security controls and acceptable use boundaries, meaning compute needs now arrive disguised as compliance. The true metric of a frontier lab is cycle time, the holistic speed of converting ideas into infrastructure, capability, and durable institutional demand. If you are building on top of these models rather than at the frontier, this dynamic changes your risk profile. As labs improve their rented systems, everyone downstream falls under a widening shadow, becoming dependent on infrastructure the labs do not control. This makes holding open weights and maintaining control over local, independent hardware a defensive strategy. The ultimate lesson of the org chart is an argument for portability. In a world of rented and politically gateable AI, owning your own tech stack is a survival mechanism.